Salam and hello, this is Abbas with you, and welcome to another episode of Locally Yours. I know it's been a while. I was just busy with other projects. Times of Oman was sending me all over the place. But here I am right here in the studio. And today I have a very special guest. Now, today's topic is all about gut health, because until I reached the age of 38, I didn't realize that how important your gut health is, right? I used to think that if you eat stuff that's not healthy for you, you're just going to get a stomachache. That's it. But now at this age, I realize that nope, it can impact you in a lot of ways that you don't even expect, you don't predict. It just comes and hits you like a truck. And that's why I'm no expert. I have my expert in the house, Dr. Ruby, who is a health scientist and a nutrition expert. So welcome, Dr. Ruby, to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that kind introduction.
I didn't write that down. I just made it up on the way. I was very nervous, but hey, alhamdulillah, we made it. So, Dr. Ruby, first of all, tell me about yourself. Give me a background, give me an overview. Where do you come from? How long has it been since you've been in Oman? And all of that stuff.
Yeah. So I'm British, in case you couldn't tell from the accent, but it's okay. Nobody's perfect.
I don't see any teacups on the table, so well.
So born and bred in the UK. Been living here in Oman for 5 years.
MashaAllah.
And I've been working in the healthcare industry now for 20 years plus.
Wow.
And 15 of those were working for Big Pharma as a medical advisor, developing life-saving drugs, working on curative medicine.
Right.
And gradually through my own experiences, through the experiences I had with my parents, their struggles with chronic disease, I started to become more interested in finding the root cause. Like, why is all this stuff happening? And shouldn't we be preventing it before we're curing it? And looking for answers, as you do as a scientist, led me down to gut health, honestly. Every single thing comes back down to the very core basic things. What you eat, your sleep, your stress management, these three things.
Right. Wow. And was this something that you wanted to do with your life? Or is it something that just happened? Like you say, that, while trying to, research into stuff, into gut health, you were like, hey, this is what I want to do. Or was this your aim from before?
Yeah. So it's something that evolved, I would say. Like, I've always been interested in healthcare.
Right.
But the whole journey into gut health, I had never predicted this.
And right now you're running an online clinic, right?
Yeah.
And you have clients from Saudi, you have clients from Europe and all over the place.
Yeah,
as well as local clients.
Yeah, that's correct.
So talking about local clients, how would you rate the local diet, like the diet in Oman? Of course, it's pretty diverse. So how would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10? What are we talking about?
At the moment, I'd give it maybe a 6.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
And why would that be?
Yeah. So it depends on what you mean when you say local diet, because if you strip back to our native foods, they're actually pretty healthy.
Right.
You have dates, rice, meat, vegetables. This is all great. What the problem comes when, I want to say, the globalization of food sources comes into play, the westernization of food sources comes in. So you start to see more packaged stuff, right? Because Oman chips was probably not there from the very beginning, I'm guessing, right?
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
It came by just and...
No shade on Oman chips. I actually think it's a great brand, but...
Of course, yes, completely understandable.
As an example, packaged food, right?
Right.
And I think that's true of diets not only in Oman, but everywhere else, but specifically to Oman, the basics are there. You have grains. In our case, it's rice, meat, you got your proteins, and of course, vegetables, fiber. The problem comes with the quantity. So the reason
I was just going to say that. Is it the quantity? Apple is healthy for you, but if you have like 80 a day, I don't think it's going to be healthy for you anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's more the ratios of macros that people are eating. So if you're having like an entire plate full of rice with a small amount of protein, probably not the best idea, And having the same thing day in, day out, again, it's not great for gut health. You want to be looking for diversity. So you want to be looking for variety and colorful foods, fruits, vegetables. And some of those are starting to lack in our modern day diets as convenience foods have popped up. Dalabad has made it so easy to pick things that your brain wants, but not necessarily feeds your body.
And what about frozen food? Is that healthy? Because I was reading an article where it said that if you eat frozen vegetables, it still has all the nutrition value that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So is it true or is it not true? I mean, is frozen food okay to consume every now and then, or is it like a no-go zone?
Yeah, so when fresh fruit and veg are flash frozen, they retain their nutrients. So yeah, it's a good easy hack for, even meal prep. You can buy it pre-frozen or you can chop up your own and freeze it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's get down to gut health. That's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, until now, like I said in my introduction, that I used to think that if I eat bad food, it's just going to give me a stomachache. That's it. But now I realize that it can impact you emotionally, physically. So, how does one, being busy and running around all the time, maintain a healthy diet? I mean, what do you suggest? I mean, something that is, easily accessible and it's not too heavy on your pocket because, every post-COVID, everyone's trying to like save up on money. So, how does one do that?
Yeah. So the key is really in the planning. So if you can meal prep, at least your lunches, if you know you're going to be running around all day, it makes sense to front load your calories. Have a heavy breakfast, make sure it's protein rich, have some healthy fats in there like avocados, olives are great. Eggs are fantastic for breakfast foods. Make sure you do that and consume most of your calories over breakfast and lunch. Take your lunch with you. Then you'll be less tempted to go out and grab something when you're like starving hungry. Because what most people do, they grab a coffee, maybe a croissant or something, and then they're running out the door, right?
Agreed.
And 2 hours later, you're starving hungry because your body's looking for protein.
Right.
Because the thing is, your body cannot manufacture its own protein. That's one source you can't manufacture.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. The same with fats, healthy fats and healthy proteins. Your body will always be looking for them, which is why savory snacks do so well. They always have those savory flavors, So until you hit your required amount of protein, you'll be feeling hungry throughout the day.
And I've seen some people just add salt to anything that they're eating. I've seen some people add salt to their apple, and because they want that salt to suppress their hunger. Is that a healthy way of suppressing your hunger, or how would you rate that that habit exactly?
Probably not the best thing to do.
Okay, yeah, of course.
Especially if it's iodized like table salt,
Right?
Because it's been refined and the minerals have been stripped out. So
what about pink salt?
Pink salt's great.
Yeah, I use pink salt.
Minerals.
And I eat eggs. I was so proud of myself deep down inside when you were like, oh, eggs are like the best thing that you can have. Not one of the best things you can have in your breakfast. So let's talk about the culture right now in Oman. So I see a lot of people, like a lot of families, when I go for grocery shopping, just picking up stuff.
Yeah.
And what attracts them is in big bold letters and like red colored letters saying that no sugar added or no carbs but sometimes when you turn that package around and you read the ingredients, the chemicals especially, they are kind of a substitute to sugar. For example, if it says no sugar added, the substitute that's added is probably more harmful than the sugar. So how's the culture in Oman? Do people read labels now, or do they need to get educated? And, because it's important what you're putting in your mouth. Yeah. So what would you say about that?
I would say there's a real need for education, starting from schools all the way up. Across the generations, there's a real gap. Nobody teaches you how to eat.
Right.
This is the problem.
Yes.
You learn from, I guess, what you see in your family.
Right.
You go with what you really feel like. Very often it's an emotional choice. Okay.
Right.
As far as the labels go, so food companies become very clever, right? They've picked up on the fact that most people have wised up to chocolate bars and crisps and things. We all know that's not healthy.
Right.
So, hey, let's start marketing ourselves as healthy, and then people will buy it, right? So protein bars became very popular. Anything that says whole grain, no sugar added, as you mentioned. The best thing to do is look on the back, and this is the rule of thumb. If there's more than 3 ingredients that you don't have in your kitchen at home, or you just don't recognize, don't eat it.
Wow.
Because if you don't recognize it, your body won't recognize it, won't know what the hell to do with it. It'll clog up your liver. It's more to detox. And over time, that can really build up and cause issues.
And what sort of chemicals are we looking at? Because sometimes when I turn the label around, even if I try to wrap my head around, let's say there are 2 chemicals added, all right, in a packaged food item that I'm picking up. They have like weird codes like E, hyphen 324 or, D or whatever the coding is. So what are these, what are the few chemicals to look out for that are a no-go zone for anyone out there?
Yeah. So Any E number.
Okay,
All
all
the
right.
E numbers
Okay,
basically
okay.
code for preservatives, emulsifiers,
Yes, exactly.
colorings, sweeteners, all of it. All of that is produced in laboratories to keep your food from going off so the supermarkets can stock their shelves for longer. Okay, it's a business. And that business has at the very top hired scientists. It's hired like the top brains in the industry to keep us addicted to our food for longer.
Wow.
I mean, they call it the bliss point, the point where you've got enough sugar and salt that your brain is like just lit up, it's on fire.
Wow.
They will run these experiments on people, put them through the MRI scanner after they've eaten something to make sure the correct parts of the brain are being lit up, so that they know that they've got you addicted, they've got you hooked. Then it's just a case of marketing to get you to eat it.
Wow.
That's why you can start with a bag of crisps. You can finish the whole lot, but you couldn't finish a whole bag of avocados.
Right, indeed. Interesting. So basically, these chemicals, they make your body crave the item that you're eating more and more and more. You keep going on and on. Because talking about crisps, I hold a personal record of finishing a bunch of packs. Like, of course, my friends really admire that. But now when I look back, of course, it was an unhealthy choice. So as we're on the subject of crisps, let's talk about cooking oil, right? There are a bunch of them out there in the market. So which one do you go for cooking at home, for example? I know olive oil is healthy, but there are a bunch of them again.
Yeah.
So which oil is the healthiest to actually cook at home or consume?
Cold pressed olive oil.
Cold pressed olive oil.
Cold-pressed
Okay,
olive
what's the
oil,
difference between cold pressed and the regular olive oil that you get in the market?
Yeah. So if it says pomace olive oil, or if you look on the back and it says mixture of olive and refined olive oil, the refined olive oil has been through a process that stripped it of its like natural minerals. Essentially what you're trying to do is get back to nature as much as possible. You want to go through something that hasn't been industrialized so much, because a lot of the vegetable oils marketed themselves as, oh, we're so much healthier than butter, than ghee in the 90s, right?
Yes.
It's completely untrue. Ghee, grass-fed ghee and butter is really good for you. In fact, we need it, and a lot of people are deficient because your body can only make hormones with fat and protein, healthy fat and protein. That's a really good source. But going back to the oils, when they hydrogenate the oils, when they process them to get it out, it's literally one step away from a petrochemical in many situations. So
can I fill that up in my vehicle car and drive it around? Because hey, there is a tech tip right there. Just take some olive oil, just process it one step more, and then you have fuel for your car.
Yeah, I'm talking
Big
about
brain
the hydrogenated frying oils that you have,
Right.
like
Like sunflower oil and all the sort of seed oils that you have out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're known inflammatories and they're extremely cheap. So that's why you find them in biscuits and crisps and everything.
You have everyone complaining about inflammation. Like they'll be
Yes.
sitting on a chair, even though they're healthy, they're working out. They're like, my diet is pretty much on track. I still feel this inflammation in my knees and my elbows and all the joints basically.
Yeah.
So a cold pressed olive oil. That's what Dr. Ruby suggests.
Or even avocado oil as well. If you can get your
Avocado
hands
oil.
on
But
it.
does it hamper the taste of the food that you're having, or change it up a bit? A little bit. I'm
Not really,
assuming.
maybe
but
on
you
a
get used to
salad.
it, especially when your brain is telling me that you're consuming something healthy. Of course, you're gonna have it.
Yeah.
So we have oil out of the way. Let's talk about honey. Now I see honey on the market shelves a lot, and I started buying Manuka honey. I don't know if that's good for you. Again, there's so many of them out there that sometimes I get confused and I'm like, you know what? Okay, let me just go for the one that's right in front of me because I'm lazy like that. So what about honey? I mean, of course, my father, on the other hand, he sources his honey from local farms or even the local Omani shops that are out there. And, they have their own farms where they source their honey from. So, it's coming locally. It's not processed. But what about this shelf honey that you find? I see a lot of people actually. I was talking to a friend the other day and he offered me a bottle juice, right? And I was like, oh no, I'm off sugar. Thanks. Though I don't look like, I'm still working towards it, okay? So I refused and he's like, oh, it's just apple juice. Have it. And I'm like, bro, just turn around the bottle and read the ingredients. Yes, it might have like half an apple inside it, but otherwise it's full of sugar. Again, going back to our topic that people are not used to reading the labels. They just see apple juice, 100% fresh. They're like, oh yeah, that's for me. So what about honey on the market? Because it's something that I consume, a lot of people out there consume and use it as a substitute because they don't want to have chocolates. They don't want to have like, candy bars and, other sweet stuff. So what about that?
Yeah. Daddy knows best. Your father's doing the right thing.
Thanks, Dad.
So go for as close to nature as you can and where you know it's come from the source. Supermarket honeys, they've been quite filtered.
Right.
And you find they lack that kind of taste. You can tell from the taste as well. It doesn't taste like honey. But honey is better than sugar,
right.
Refined white sugar, right? For sweet, like alternatives to chocolates you asked about, you can make your own date balls. Even dark chocolate, to be honest, is fine. Like you can have a square of dark chocolate. It's actually quite good for you.
Okay.
Yeah, full of antioxidants and things that can get rid of that craving that you might have for some chocolate.
Because it's also the act of eating a piece of chocolate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we got to be realistic. Like nobody's going to be having like a clean 100% great diet 100% of the time.
Right. And this is a little off topic though. Do we have like a limited amount of willpower inside us? Because I read this somewhere and like there's a chemical reaction when you're trying to resist something. And it takes a chemical reaction for you to resist it completely. So sometimes you have to let go as well for your chemicals to refuel yourself basically with more willpower. Is that true though? This is a little off topic. It's true, right?
Is true, yeah.
You have a limited amount of willpower.
Your willpower's like a battery. It drains through the day. Okay, which is why meal planning is so effective because everybody can resist a chocolate bar in the morning. Very few people can resist it at the end of the day. Because your battery's draining throughout the day. And it's all linked to dopamine as well. So very frequent heavy users of screens struggle with that a lot. Like they struggle with that a lot. But yeah, literally scientifically, your neurochemicals start to, deplete throughout the day when it comes to willpower. Yeah.
So, I mean, let go every now and then. It's fine. It's life. Have fun.
Yeah,
exactly.
my rule of thumb generally, like what I teach my clients and every day that we use as well is 80% of the time, try to eat as close to nature as you can. Intentionally, get your macros in. 20% of the time, go out, have fun. You want to go out and eat out with your friends and whatever. Right. We're not robots.
You don't want to lose all your friends. And we're not going to call a boss. No. He's always like just sitting there and sulking. So actually talking about, being close to nature as much as you can. I had pomegranate once from this place called Wakan Village. Right? And they grow pomegranate right outside their houses, like the local families out there. And let me tell you, it was the best pomegranate that I had. It just, this kind family offered me one. They're like, keep it, take it. And I was hiking, right? And I tasted it, I was like, wow, this is brilliant. Nothing what you get in the, I'm not saying that, you don't get locally sourced pomegranate, but that one, just the way they gave it to me, like from their tree, was just brilliant.
Yeah,
amazing.
You can taste the difference.
So how can these companies or these big corporates out there, for example, we were talking about honey, and you said of course if you can source it from the local farms, that's the best you can do. But then the shelf honey that I find every now and then, it's too sweet. First of all, so I know it's not just pure honey, but even when I turn around the bottle, when I read it in the front, it says 100% honey. When I read the ingredients, it says 100% honey. How can they do that? How can they just label it 100% without any, additions to it when it's not actually true? How can they do that?
So food regulation varies from country to country. It depends on which country it comes from as well. And you see, especially stuff from the States is not strictly tightly regulated. I think a lot of it's hit the headlines recently.
Right, yes.
I think everybody's heard about the red food colouring being banned now, finally, after like 15 years of knowing it's a carcinogen. They were putting this stuff in Fruit Loops, giving it to kids, even though it was banned in Europe. But it was still being sold in the States. Okay, so each country has its own regulations on what the minimum amount is that you add to something before you have to declare it on the ingredients label, for example. Right. So it would depend. But the actual act of filtering the honey as well is going to make it taste sweeter because you've got rid of some of the other compounds, So yeah, it's been processed to some extent and put into a plastic bottle, so it's not going to taste the same.
Okay, so coming back to gut health now, apart from your diet, because we discussed all sort of things that are out there, at least me as a consumer, from what I see, I was just trying to ask you those questions. And now coming back to gut health, your area of expertise, what other factors impact your gut health? Like if you remove diet from it, and now let's consider other factors. What other factors can someone manage to actually have a healthy gut?
Yeah. So there's a number of different reasons that you can have an unhealthy gut. Because I tell you something, everybody that comes to me actually has pretty good diet.
Okay.
Because they've been on a journey to try and heal themselves, right? And they come to you and say, I've done everything, I've tried everything, I'm eating right, what is wrong with me? And when we delve deeper, we find other things. Sleep is a huge one. Not enough people are getting a good amount of deep sleep, okay? And you can only hit like the recommended amount, which is 1.5 to 2 hours deep REM sleep if you've gone to bed on time.
Rapid eye movement. REM, I know that.
You'll know that from like if you wear a smartwatch, you can track it. Yeah. But most people are going to bed a little bit too late. So they're not hitting that deep sleep. So they can't detox effectively. Okay. So because your liver is only actively detoxing between around 11 and 3 or 4 a.m.
Interesting.
So if anybody knows someone with fatty liver disease or liver cancer or something like this, they know that there's frequent waking in the night and they will wake up at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. because their liver is struggling. Okay. That's one of the signs.
Okay, wow.
But that is a huge one that can affect your digestion. People don't realize. Okay. The other one is being in like chronic stress mode. So you're always on edge, you know? And it might not be that you can feel it because often you can't. Physiologically, the way your body is going to respond to a tiger chasing you or being stuck in traffic, right? And you're running late for a meeting, physiologically going to have exactly the same response.
Wow.
Your body will release cortisol, the stress hormone, and it will make your heart rate go up. You'll be shallow breathing, not breathing deeply. Your digestion is switched off.
Like my heart rate goes up when I see the green light blink, the traffic light, and I'm like, tuk, 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 tuk. I'm like, let me just get there. And I feel my shoulder tense up as well.
Yes.
It's true. It's true.
It's true, yeah.
Like even driving, like you said, I mean, I don't know if a tiger was chasing me, I would just be like, my shoulder wouldn't be tensed, my legs would be moving as well, along with that to run away. But makes sense. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So the body doesn't know the difference between those two situations, right? And very often people live like day to day in that state of fight or flight, and they don't realize it. Their parasympathetic nervous system's always activated. They're not relaxing, enough to really digest and really be calm. And when you do that day in, day out, it does affect your digestion. It does. Yeah.
So sleep and don't be too stressed.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, in this fast-paced world, it might sound unrealistic to not be stressed, and of course it is, especially when you hit midlife, because you've got elderly parents, you may have kids, you've got family pressures, you're trying to work, you're trying to pay the bills, you're adulting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And adulting is difficult, right?
Makes sense.
Right. But you
just don't pay your bills. Let them go overdue. Who cares?
But you need to be conscious of it. You need to take out 5-10 minutes in the day, do some deep breathing, close your eyes for 5 minutes and just recenter. Even that alone can make a huge difference over the long term. If you do that every day, it compounds. It compounds into your health.
Just like your bad habits. I mean,
Exactly.
They also add up. And then until you feel the impact of your bad habits, it's already too late. Like you haven't prevented that. Now it's here. Now you have to deal with it.
Yes.
Same goes for the good habits. They take time for them to, have an impact on you or have an effect. So makes complete sense. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Ruby, for your valuable insight, actually. It was such an interesting conversation, just talking to you about gut health, because like I said, at my age or at any age, for example, if you manage your gut, that's why there's this saying, right? Like go with your gut.
Yes.
Gut feeling.
Yeah.
So, and actually there are some neurons, I forgot, there's some connection between the brain and your stomach. The only chemical that you find in your stomach, you find it in your brain and nowhere else in your body. I don't know, you can educate me on that.
Yeah, so 90% of your feel-good hormone, serotonin, is manufactured in the gut.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thank you, gut. Like I would always be like, oh, my brain needs serotonin. But now I need to like massage my stomach. I know now what to do. All right, all right. So thank you so much for your valuable insight. And I think if you're watching this episode of Locally Yours, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, you can let us know down below. And if you like this video, then give it a like. Oh, and for whatever reason, if you didn't like this video, I would still like to thank you for watching this far. So once again, Dr. Ruby, thank you so much for coming in, taking time out and talking to us about gut health. So you out there watching, make sure if you're watching with a bag of crisp or something, just get rid of that and replace it with some fruits and some, local stuff. Buy local. That's why everyone keeps telling everyone that buy local. This is Abbas with you. I'm off, and inshallah, I will see you in the next one.
Thank you.